Today we're going to do something just a little bit different. Uh, Today's not a car or a truck video. I'm actually going to be going over the install and review of a storm shelter slash safe room that we recently purchased from Torshel out of Mississippi. So hopefully there may be some of you in the market that are looking at these, and hopefully this video helps you make up your mind and gives you an idea of something else to do. With all the recent storms that we've had close to our house, and with Tornado Alley moving and actually covering where we live now, we decided to make a small investment into a storm shelter. We did a lot of looking around. We narrowed it down to 3 vendors in the end, but we ended up going with Torshel just because of the options and the flexibility and the features that they had. There's some really good ones out there, but a lot of them are just boxes. Not very comfortable if you're in there for a while. So we chose Torshel and kind of made it into like a little mini man cave with power, couch, benches, dog bed, lights. We're really pleased. So hopefully you'll enjoy the video and get some insight into a storm shelter and a safe room. All right, we got the space cleaned out in the garage now for the shelter. It's gonna go right here between these 2 walls. If you can't quite see it, but we actually chalked a red line on the ground. And originally we were gonna center it between the 2 walls, but we're actually gonna shove it up against that wall. That way it gives you more space to walk in between on the other side. Originally, what I looked at was doing a 6x7 custom and stick it in this corner where it would come out even with that wall and kind of tuck in the corner. But what I actually found is it was going to cost more for the custom 6x7 to fit in that corner than it would for a 6x8, which is a stock size for most of the people that make them. It depended on the manufacturer. It was usually running like $400 to $500 more for the custom one to fit in the corner, which is actually a little bit smaller. So we ended up going with the 4x8. I'm sorry, we ended up going with a 6x8, and we made room for it, and it's going to go here. Alright, Alex and the guys from Torshel have arrived to install the storm shelter. Hopefully we'll get them backed in and get them started, and hopefully it won't take that long. There she is. Good morning. Using a ground guy, which is a good thing.
puntita. Sí, era para que esté acá, ¿no?
Siempre hay que meterlo todo. Si está aquí, lo que quede aquí, que se vaya. Como está
Para asegurarse
el golpe, sí.
Finally have it to the end of the trailer and they're about to get it off.
Ahí viene.
Ya es todo.
Ahí va a bajar solito.
¿Está bajando?
Y ahí mando yo aquí, y ahora voy a empujar.
Debería cerrar acá para no se vuelva abajo. ¿Viste que bueno está esto como baja así?
Oh, por lo frío. Es que cuando vas a hacer cosas, no.
All right, they've got it down. They're rolling it in to the garage now.
Lo voy a echar para acá. ¿Viste?
All right, it's in place now, and Alex is getting ready to drill the holes. All the holes are drilled. Now they're vacuuming all the dust out of the holes, and then they'll clean it with a wire brush.
¿Por dónde vas a empezar?
Ya empecé por acá, ¿no?
Ahí le voy.
Okay, the guys have they finished up now. All the anchors are in, and put a bead of caulk around the inside and the outside to keep the bugs and the insects out. And I've started working on the electrical. Originally, I was gonna run conduit and make it, use some EMT. But I got to thinking, in the event of a storm or something were to blow through, that conduit attached to the side of the shelter may act as some sort of give it some leverage and maybe twist and damage the shelter. So what I did is I went with SO cable instead, and I'm going to make it up inside the box. And then that way, if something comes along and hits the outside of this in a tornado, it'll just rip this SO cable loose and the connections that'll be inside the box. And that way, hopefully the shelter is not damaged. And you can see on the inside, there's where I've got the box mounted on the inside. I've already pre-measured the conduits for the light and switch and the receptacles inside here, which they're out here being painted. There's the frame of the light, and there's the conduits hanging, drying. And now, while the paint's drying, I'm going to kind of start laying down some padding and then some carpet on top of the padding. So I'm just going to get these in place and get them trimmed up and see what she looks like. Alex and Miguel did a great job on the install. Can't say enough good stuff about them. I'm happy with it so far. Alright, I got all the padding cut and down. So now I'm going to wipe this down just a little bit, and I'm going to spray some adhesive, and we'll get some carpet down on top of this. Alright, I've got the carpet finished now. Makes a big difference with the carpet in here, even with the sound part of it. Now I just got to wait for the paint to dry, and I can finish the electrical. I've got the electrical done now. You can do anything extravagant. Just put a duplex receptacle on the back wall. Put in a 1x2 LED light fixture. Another duplex receptacle on that wall. And then a light switch with a dimmer. I put a dimmer because when we're in here, you know, if we wanted the lights kind of dim, we could cut it down. Just figured it would add an option, good option. And I also made sure, once I bent and formed all the conduit, I painted it white just to match. Turned out pretty good. Also painted the boxes and the covers white. Pretty pleased with the electrical. So now that the electrical's all done, we're gonna start putting furniture, shelves, benches, and all that other neat stuff in it. Okay, the storm shelter's all done now, so I figured I'd do a final review and go over everything with you guys. So we were really pleased with everything from Israel Martinez, the owner of Torshel. Great to work with, great guy. And then we had Alex and Miguel, the installers. They did a really good job. They care about what they do and worked really hard to make sure that we were happy and everything was installed correctly. So we'll go take a look inside now. Alright, now you can see all the different things that we added. Like we added a couch, which is really nice. It does take up a little space, but in the grand scheme of things, well worth it. Makes it a lot more comfortable, especially compared to where we used to go under the stairs, in a closet under the stairs. Get the couch, bench that we built and installed, and of course you have to get the dog bed for the dogs, and then the shelf that we built. And I tell you, while we're on the shelf and bench, there are a couple of things that really set Torshel off from the others. One is this bracket system they have. Out of all the storm shelters we looked at, they're the only ones that have this system where the rails are slotted and you can get the different sized brackets. There's a 10-inch, 6-inch brackets that they'll send. And basically you just stick them in, lock it down, and then you'll see in the top of the brackets there's holes where you can screw in your shelves like we did here. But basically that is a great idea. I don't know if Israel is the one that came up with that, but it gives you the flexibility to pretty much do anything you want inside the shelter. It makes it modular. The ones that we looked at where you could get a shelf, it's welded in, it's permanent, which there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's good. But I like the idea of being able to change things around as you need to. Again, Torshel was the only company I saw out there that had this type of modular system. And it's great. Kudos to the guys for that. So basically for the bench, using the brackets, just took a 10-inch wide board, covered it in carpet. You got a nice little comfy bench. I thought about padding it, but as of now it's not padded up. I may end up pulling that carpet off and putting some padding on it for later. And then for the shelf, I just painted it white so it blend in and like nice and clean look. And then we have a couple of magnetic baskets that we got off of Amazon. You can see in this one we've got the weather radio sitting in it and the remote to the TV. Got another one back there where you can put your stuff while you're sitting on the couch. I probably will end up building like a 2-foot short or a 2-foot shelf just to go between these two to give a little space to store stuff above the receptacle. And there's the 40-inch TV that I installed. First I was worried that it was going to be too big, but it's actually about right for the space. It fits perfect. And again, there's on Amazon there's a magnetic TV mount. It's got some super strong magnets on it. And that's how the TV is actually attached to the side of the storm shelters, with this magnetic TV mount that I got off of Amazon. And you can see the power, which we'll go over again. I painted all the conduit. Once I got the conduit bent and shaped like I needed it, I painted the conduit white so that it matched and it looked pretty. Painted the covers white, the box is white, and all the little connectors, just so it blended in and it looked good. And there's our 1x2 LED light, dimmable. And again, I don't know, I thought maybe we'd want to dim it down when we're in here. Hopefully we're not in here for long when we are. The same thing on this side. There's the the metal cover. I painted white. Box, everything else painted white. And the light switch with the dimmable slider. I think it all turned out pretty good in the end. Pretty pleased. And then here's a paper towel shelf that we got off of Amazon. Just more storage, and then these two snap safe magnets that are made for a gun safe. These things are super strong. They're rated for 65 pounds, and I don't doubt that they'll hold every bit of it. Now, another thing too about Torshel, they have a few more locks than the other. Most of them come with 3. Torshel has 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4th. And then you got your normal latch, and you throw in the deadbolt you got. So you got 6 things holding the door shut. So nobody's getting in here if you're using it for safe room, and it should have no problem stopping any debris thrown at it in a tornado. Now, the other thing that sets Torshel apart from the others that I didn't see anywhere is this gun port. Now, I probably will end up changing this key out to something that's not so, maybe just like a basic L, where it's not sticking up through the window. But basically, for the gun port, you pull the pin out, and again, hang it on my little hooks there. And once that's out, you just rotate. I can get it. Rotate this off to the side, and there you go. There's your gun port. You can take the muzzle of your pistol, your weapon of choice, and stick it at the gun port. If you are using it as a safe shelter, there's a way to defend yourself, which again, I think it's pretty neat. Torshel was the only one I actually saw that had a gun port. Cool idea. Don't know that we'll ever use it, but I like the idea of having it if you need it. And of course you got the window, which I think is 3 pieces of Lexan bulletproof sandwiched in there. Several storm shelter manufacturers have windows, but Torshel's, there's this big, clear to see through, and it come in handy in the event that something's going outside so we can see. And then down here we have one of the air vents in the door, and then there's 2 more in the back. There's an air vent, and there's an air vent. Another thing that's pretty neat about the Torshel is if you look up here, there's a plate with 4 nuts welded to the top. That's if you want to put a heat and an air unit, which we probably will. I just hadn't figured out what I want to go with yet. But again, Torshel has all kinds of options and things that you can do to the shelter to make it comfortable. A lot of the manufacturers out there just give you basically get a box without any options. And one of the brands out there that's been on the market for the longest, it just has a peephole, not even a full-size window, which could make you kind of claustrophobic, and you can't really see what's going on outside in a storm. But again, really pleased with this 6x8 Torshel storm shelter from Torshel. Israel Martinez and the guys have a good product. Price is competitive with everybody else. I would recommend it to anybody that's in the market. And there's their information. This is a little checklist they put up when installing it. It's magnetic, so you can pull it off if you want. But here, see if I can do one last panoramic view around. And then also, you may remember from earlier, I put down a rubber pad and then covered that rubber pad with carpet. We have the Hilti epoxy anchors, which are really strong, stronger than your normal wedge anchors, according to the testing data. But here she is for now. Very happy with Torshel and their product.